On the morning of my daughter's wedding, my ex-wife stood beside her new husband and sneered at me through the venue's iron gate. "You're not even invited," she said. "Lily wants nothing to do with you." I nodded and handed her a slim manila folder through the bars. Then explained this to her before she walks down the aisle. 3 hours later, I could hear the screaming from 2 blocks away. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. My name is Ethan Cole, and for 25 years, I've been the villain in my own daughter's story. Not because I wanted the role, but because Vanessa, my ex-wife, wrote the script that way and everyone believed her. When Lily was 2, Vanessa filed for separation. She told everyone I'd abandoned them, that I was unreliable. The truth? I came home early one Tuesday and found Vanessa in our bed with her boss, Dr. Alan Porter. He was a big shot at the biotech firm where she worked. Within a week, she'd lawyered up. Within a month, she'd convinced half our friends I was unstable. Within a year, she had full custody. "Daddy scares me," Lily would say at age 5, coached lines delivered with a child's innocent face. The courts believed it. By age 8, Vanessa stopped allowing visits entirely. By 12, Lily blocked my number. By 18, she'd changed her last name to Reed, matching Vanessa's new husband Michael, a wealthy CEO who wore his money like armor. I became a ghost. Birthday cards returned unopened. Child support paid on time every month for 25 years, but never a word back. Until 3 months ago, when I got an envelope with no return address. Inside was a single piece of paper. "She's not yours." Vanessa lied. Alan Porter is her father. I'm a construction project manager. I build things. I solve problems. I don't panic. So I didn't panic. I called my best friend Tom Rivers. He worked in corporate investigations. We met at a diner on the edge of town, cracked vinyl booths, burnt coffee, a waitress named Dolores who looked like she'd been there forever. Tom read the note I'd sent him. "Someone's messing with you," he said. Or maybe it's true. She was sleeping with Alan Porter for 6 months before Lily was born. I found hotel receipts, emails, credit card statements after we separated. Tom went quiet, then looked up at me. "You want me to look into it?" "I want to know the truth." "And if Lily isn't your daughter?" I looked out the window at the gray parking lot. "Then I want Vanessa to answer for it. I want everyone to know what she did." Tom nodded. "This won't be cheap. DNA testing, document retrieval, legal fees. I don't care what it costs. I've spent 25 years being the villain. If this is true, I need proof. Not just for me, for Lily." "All right," Tom said, pulling out a notebook. "Let's start." Tom's a professional. He doesn't cut corners, doesn't do anything that'll get thrown out in court, doesn't take shortcuts that might contaminate evidence. We started simple. Hospital records from 25 years ago. Lily was born at Mercy General on August 14th. Under the Freedom of Information Act, and with some creative paperwork, Tom requested copies of the birth documentation, the attending physician's notes, anything that might have biological markers or notations. It took 3 weeks and cost me $800 in filing fees and administrative costs. What we found was interesting. Vanessa had requested a specific OB-GYN, Dr. Helena Cross, who happened to be a personal recommendation from Dr. Alan Porter, according to the file notes. The same Dr. Porter who'd been Vanessa's boss, her affair partner, and who'd conveniently left town 6 months after Lily was born to take a position at a research facility in Seattle. "Interesting timing," Tom muttered, making notes. 6 months after the birth, he relocates across the country. That's when you'd start seeing paternity questions pop up, when the kid starts developing features, when people start saying she has his eyes or whatever. "Can we prove anything from this?" I asked. "Not yet, but it's a data point. Let me keep digging." He dug for another month. He found employment records showing that Alan Porter had taken a sudden salary increase and relocation package worth nearly $200,000 to move to Seattle. He found that Vanessa had received a mysterious deposit of $50,000 2 months after Porter left, listed as a consulting fee on her tax returns, though she'd never worked as a consultant in her life. But hospital records and financial irregularities weren't enough. We needed DNA. That's where it got complicated. I couldn't just walk up to Lily and ask for a cheek swab. She hadn't spoken to me in years. Last time I'd tried to approach her, 6 years ago, outside her college graduation ceremony, she'd threatened to call security. Vanessa would block any attempt I made to contact her directly. So we went another route. Tom found out through his network that Lily had done one of those Ancestry DNA kits 2 years ago. The trendy kind where you spit in a tube and mail it off to find out you're 8% Scandinavian and third cousins with someone in Minnesota. The company, Detonates, kept the genetic data on file indefinitely. With a court order, obtained through a quiet family law attorney named Jennifer Park, who owed Tom a favor from a previous case, we subpoenaed Lily's genetic profile from Detonates. It took 6 weeks of legal wrangling and cost me another $3,000, but we got it. The raw data came back as a massive file of genetic markers, chromosome sequences, and probability matrices that meant nothing to me but everything to the geneticist Tom hired to analyze it. We also needed to track down Alan Porter. He was living in Seattle now, running a biotech consulting firm called Porter Tech Solutions. Married to his second wife, 2 kids from that marriage, respectable life complete with a house in a nice neighborhood, and a LinkedIn profile full of professional accomplishments. I'm sure he thought his past was buried 3,000 miles away and 25 years in the rearview mirror. Tom made contact through a professional intermediary, a colleague named Davis, who specialized in discreet inquiries for law firms and insurance companies. The pitch was simple and terrifying. We had evidence of a paternity claim from 25 years ago involving a minor at the time. We were prepared to go public and potentially involve his employer and family unless he cooperated with a voluntary DNA test. Alan took the bait within 48 hours. He provided a cheek swab through a certified lab in Seattle, probably scared out of his mind that his comfortable life was about to implode. The sample was processed, the genetic markers extracted, and then compared against Lily's profile from Detonates. 6 weeks after I got that anonymous note in my mailbox, the results came back via certified mail. I sat in Tom's cramped office above a dry cleaner on 4th Street, staring at the notarized report from the genetic testing lab. Probability of paternity between Ethan Cole and Lily Cole, 0.0%. Probability of paternity between Alan Porter and Lily Cole, 99.97%. The numbers didn't lie. Couldn't lie. Lily wasn't mine. She never had been. For 25 years, I'd believed I was her father, paid child support like clockwork, sent birthday cards and Christmas presents into the void, carried the weight of her rejection, all for a child who wasn't biologically mine. "You all right?" Tom asked quietly from behind his desk. I couldn't speak for a minute. Just stared at those numbers. 0.00%. Not even a margin of error. Not even a maybe. "What do you want to do?" Tom asked. I folded the paper carefully, slid it into a folder, and looked up at my best friend. "I want everyone to know what Vanessa did," I said. "I want her to face consequences for once in her life. She'll deny it. Not if I do it right. Ethan, think about this. Lily's going to be devastated. This kind of revelation, it destroys families. Vanessa destroyed this family 25 years ago," I said flatly. "I'm just turning on the lights." 3 days later, I found out through Facebook that Lily was getting married. Not from an invitation, obviously. I hadn't been invited to anything in her life since her 8th birthday party. I found out because someone I barely knew, a former co-worker's wife, had shared a post with the caption, "So excited to celebrate Lily Reed's big day. June 14th at Riverside Estate. Can't wait to see our girl walk down the aisle." I clicked through to Lily's profile. It was set to public, probably because she'd never imagined I'd look. The wedding was going to be massive. 200 guests, full catering by some fancy company, live band, professional photographer, the works. Michael Reed's money on full display, and I wasn't invited. My name appeared nowhere on the event page, nowhere in the comments, nowhere in Lily's excited posts about dress shopping and cake tasting and flower arrangements. I'd been erased so completely that my own daughter was getting married, and I'd found out on social media by accident. I called the venue directly, pretending to be a guest with a question about parking. "Oh yes, Riverside Estate," the receptionist said cheerfully. "The Reed wedding on the 14th. May I have your name to confirm your RSVP?" "Ethan Cole," I said. A pause, typing. "I'm sorry, sir. I don't see you on the guest list. Are you sure you're invited to this event?" "My mistake," I said. "Wrong wedding." I hung up and smiled for the first time in weeks. Perfect. Planning revenge is like building a house. You need a solid foundation, reliable materials, and a clear blueprint. You can't just swing a hammer and hope for the best. You need to know exactly where every beam goes, where the stress points are, what will hold and what will collapse. I spent a week mapping it out. Step 1. I needed to document the financial trail. Tom recommended a forensic accountant named Patricia Lowe. She worked out of a small office in a strip mall between a nail salon and a tax preparation service, but Tom swore she was the best in the business. She specialized in tracking money that didn't want to be found, hidden assets in divorce cases, embezzlement schemes, offshore accounts. I met her on a Wednesday afternoon. She was 50-ish, gray hair pulled back, reading glasses on a chain, the kind of person who looked like a librarian but had the predatory instincts of a shark. I laid out what I knew: Vanessa's affair with Alan Porter, the suspicious $50,000 deposit, the timing of Porter's relocation, the DNA results. "I need to know if he paid her off," I said. "I need proof that she knew Lily wasn't mine and took money to keep quiet about it." Patricia looked at me over her reading glasses. "That kind of deep dive costs money. Bank records going back 25 years, cross-referencing tax returns, tracing deposits to their sources. We're talking weeks of work. Name your price." She quoted me a number that made me wince, but I agreed. I'd been saving for years anyway, living cheap, driving an old truck, never taking vacations. What was I saving for, if not this? It took Patricia 2 weeks. When she called me back to her office, she had a stack of documents 6 inches thick. "There," she said, spreading papers across her desk. "Monthly payments. Started about 6 months after your daughter was born. $2,000 a month, like clockwork, deposited into an account in Vanessa's name. They continued for 3 years. Then there's a lump sum, $80,000, deposited in month 37. After that, payments stopped completely." "Hush money," I said, picking up one of the bank statements. "That's what it looks like to me. Payments stopped right around the time Dr. Porter moved to Seattle. My guess? He paid her off to keep quiet about the paternity, made sure she was financially secure enough not to cause problems, then disappeared across the country. And she kept the secret." Patricia nodded. "Even through your divorce proceedings. I pulled the court records. She never disclosed these payments during discovery. If she had, it might have triggered questions about paternity, might have changed custody arrangements. She committed fraud, essentially." I leaned forward, studying the documents. Bank statements, deposit slips, notarized records from the financial institutions. Patricia had built an evidence trail that would hold up under any scrutiny. "Can you document this in a way that's legally bulletproof?" I asked. "Already done. Notarized affidavits from the banks, transaction records with source verification, cross-referenced dates that match up with Dr. Porter's financial records, which I also acquired through entirely legal channels, by the way. It's airtight, Mr. Cole. How much do I owe you?" She told me. I wrote the check without hesitation. Step 2. I needed Alan Porter's cooperation. I didn't go through Tom this time. This was something I needed to do myself, one-on-one. I called him on a Thursday night around 10 p.m. when I figured he'd be alone in his home office, probably working late like successful people do. "Dr. Porter," I said when he picked up after 4 rings. "My name is Ethan Cole. I think we need to talk about Lily." There was a long pause. Background noise. Maybe a television in another room, the distant sound of a dog barking. "Who is this?" he asked finally, voice guarded. "The man who raised your daughter for 2 years before Vanessa pushed me out of her life. The man who's been paying child support for 25 years for a child that isn't his. The man who just got DNA confirmation that you're Lily's biological father." Another pause. Longer this time. I could practically hear him calculating, figuring out his options. "I don't know what you're talking about," he said carefully. "Yes, you do. I have the DNA results. Court-ordered, legally obtained, completely admissible. I have the payment records showing you paid Vanessa nearly $100,000 over 3 years, starting 6 months after Lily was born. I have everything, Alan, and in 2 weeks, I'm going to make sure everyone else has it too, unless you do exactly what I tell you." "You're threatening me." His voice had gone cold. "No," I said calmly. "I'm giving you a choice. You can show up to Lily's wedding on June 14th, and when I give you the signal, you can stand up and tell the truth. Tell everyone that you're Lily's biological father, that you and Vanessa had an affair 25 years ago, and that you've known about it all this time. And if I refuse, then I release everything to your employer, to your wife, to the press, and to every one of those 200 wedding guests via a very detailed email blast. Your choice. You can control the narrative by being honest, or you can watch your life implode from every direction at once." Silence stretched between us for nearly a minute. "Why would I help you?" he finally asked, voice barely above a whisper. "Because if you don't, you lose everything and gain nothing. If you do cooperate, you might actually get to know your daughter. You might get to be the father who made a terrible mistake, but is trying to make it right. Isn't that worth something?" More silence. "What exactly do you want me to say?" he asked. "The truth," I said. "That's all, just the truth." He agreed. It took another 20 minutes of negotiation, but he agreed. I think part of him was actually relieved. 25 years of carrying that secret must have been exhausting. Step 3. I made copies of everything. The DNA results, the payment records, Patricia's affidavits, Alan's signed confession. He'd sent it via encrypted email 2 days after our phone call, a brief statement admitting paternity and acknowledging the cover-up. I compiled it all into a single folder, clean, organized, tabbed sections, professional printing. The kind of document that could be submitted to a court or a journalist or 200 wedding guests and hold up under any scrutiny. Then I made backups. Digital copies uploaded to 3 separate cloud accounts with automated release timers. Physical copies stored with my attorney, Jennifer Park, with Tom, with Patricia. If anything happened to me, if Vanessa or Michael tried to shut me up or threaten me, the information would still get out. I wasn't taking any chances. Not after 25 years of being silenced. Step 4. I waited. 2 weeks of watching Lily's wedding preparations unfold on social media like some voyeuristic nightmare. Photos of dress fittings with her bridesmaids, all of them laughing and holding champagne glasses. Cake tastings at expensive bakeries. Venue decorations being set up at Riverside Estate, white flowers and string lights and elegant table settings. Vanessa posted constantly, playing the role of proud mother, society maven, the woman who'd raised a successful daughter all by herself after divorcing a deadbeat dad. So grateful for this beautiful family, she wrote under a photo of herself with Lily and Michael. My daughter found the perfect partner, and I couldn't be prouder. The comments section filled up with congratulations, with heart emojis, with people praising her for being such a strong, single mother. I read every word and felt nothing but cold satisfaction, knowing it was all about to collapse. Michael Reed posted less frequently, but when he did, it was always about money and status. Spared no expense for our princess, he wrote under a photo of the floral arrangements. Only the best for the Reed family. Looking forward to celebrating this milestone in style. The Reed family, not the Cole family. Lily had erased me so completely that she'd taken on her stepfather's name, absorbed his identity, become part of his empire. I didn't blame her. She'd been told her whole life that I was the villain, the absent father who'd abandoned her, the man who chose himself over his family. Vanessa had built that narrative brick by brick, year by year, until it became the truth in Lily's mind. Now I was going to demolish it. The night before the wedding, Tom came over to my apartment with Chinese takeout. We sat at my small kitchen table, one of those cheap sets from a discount furniture store, and went over the plan one final time. "You're absolutely sure about this?" Tom asked, picking at his lo mein with chopsticks. "Yes. Because there's no going back after tomorrow. Lily's going to be devastated. Vanessa's going to come after you with every legal weapon she has. Michael Reed has enough money to bury you in lawsuits for the next decade if he wants to." "Let him try," I said. "I've got the truth, and I've got bulletproof documentation. What's he going to sue me for? Telling the truth?" Emotional distress, intentional interference, public humiliation. Rich people find reasons. "I don't care." Tom set down his chopsticks and looked at me seriously. "What's the endgame here, Ethan? Let's say everything goes perfectly tomorrow. You expose Vanessa, Alan admits paternity, everyone knows the truth. Then what? You think Lily's going to thank you? You think she's going to want a relationship with you after you blow up her wedding?" I thought about that for a long moment, staring at my half-eaten orange chicken. "I don't know," I said honestly. "Maybe she reaches out eventually. Maybe she doesn't. Maybe she hates me even more for doing this. But at least she'll know the truth. At least she'll understand why I disappeared from her life, why I couldn't fight back. She'll know it wasn't because I didn't care." That's a pretty big maybe to bet on. "It's the only bet I have left." Tom nodded slowly, picked up his chopsticks again. "All right, I'll be there tomorrow, just in case things go sideways." They won't. They might. I've seen revenge plans go wrong before. People are unpredictable when their world gets turned upside down. I've been planning this for 3 months. Every contingency, every possible reaction. It'll work. Tom didn't look convinced, but he didn't argue. We finished our food in relative silence, then he left around 10 p.m. I cleaned up the takeout containers, took a shower, and tried to sleep. I couldn't. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, thinking about Lily at 2 years old, how she used to grab my finger with her tiny hand, how she'd laugh when I made funny faces, how she'd fall asleep on my chest while we watched television. That little girl was gone. Replaced by a 24-year-old woman who thought I'd abandoned her, who'd built her entire identity on a lie. Tomorrow, I was going to tear that lie apart. I wasn't sure if I was doing the right thing, but I knew I couldn't keep living as a ghost. June 14th, Saturday. Sunny, 72 degrees, not a cloud in the sky. Perfect wedding weather, the kind of day that shows up in magazines and movies. I woke up at 6 a.m., made coffee, showered, and put on my best suit, the navy blue one I'd bought 10 years ago for court hearings, back when I'd still thought I had a chance at shared custody. It still fit, barely. I'd lost weight over the years, gotten leaner from construction work and stress. I drove to Riverside Estate and parked 3 blocks away. No need to draw attention yet, no need to show up on any security cameras or parking lot lists. The venue was exactly as impressive as the photos suggested. Sprawling gardens with perfectly manicured hedges, white columns framing the entrance, a massive tent set up on the lawn overlooking the river. String lights hung between trees, ready to create that magical twilight ambiance. A wooden arch covered in white roses stood at one end of the lawn, presumably where Lily and her fiancé would exchange vows. Money. So much money on display. Michael Reed making sure everyone knew he could afford the best, that his stepdaughter was marrying into wealth and privilege. I walked slowly toward the venue, taking in every detail. A catering truck was parked behind the main building, workers unloading trays and equipment. A florist van sat nearby, final arrangements being carried inside. Wedding guests were already starting to arrive even though the ceremony didn't start for another 2 hours. People in expensive suits and designer dresses, everyone smiling and laughing and sipping champagne from a greeting station set up near the entrance. The venue had security at the front gate, 2 guys in black suits with earpieces and clipboards, checking names against a guest list. Professional, probably hired from some private security firm that specialized in high-end events. I hung back about 50 feet, standing near a tree, watching. At 10:15, I saw Vanessa arrive. She looked good, I'll admit. Age had been kind to her, or maybe just expensive skincare and regular trips to the salon. She wore a cream-colored dress that probably cost more than my monthly rent, her hair styled in some elaborate updo, her makeup flawless and camera-ready. Michael walked beside her, tall and confident in a custom-tailored gray suit. His hand rested on her lower back in that possessive way wealthy men touch their wives, like a brand of ownership. They looked like they'd stepped out of a lifestyle magazine, the successful CEO and his elegant wife about to celebrate their daughter's wedding. They stopped to chat with arriving guests, all smiles and air kisses and congratulations. Vanessa laughed at something someone said, her hand on Michael's arm, playing the perfect hostess. I watched them for 5 minutes, then checked my watch. 10:25. Time to move. I walked toward the gate, casual but purposeful. The security guards noticed me immediately. I wasn't dressed like the other guests, didn't have that easy confidence that comes with generational wealth. "Excuse me, sir," one of them said, stepping forward with his clipboard. "Name, please?" "I'm not on the list," I said. "I'm here to deliver something to Vanessa Reed." "Mrs. Reed is busy preparing for the ceremony. If you have a delivery, you can leave it with catering staff." "This is personal," I interrupted. "She'll want to see it before the ceremony starts." The guard looked uncertain. The second guard had his hand near his hip, probably where he kept a radio or pepper spray. "Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to—" "Ethan?" Vanessa's voice cut through the conversation. She'd spotted me from about 20 feet away, and now she was walking toward the gate, Michael following behind her with a confused expression. "What are you doing here?" Vanessa hissed as she got close, her perfect smile replaced with genuine anger. "I came to see my daughter get married," I said calmly. "You're not invited," she said. "Lily doesn't want you here. She made that very clear." Michael stepped forward, positioning himself between us like a barrier. He was taller than me, broader, the kind of guy who probably had a personal trainer and did CrossFit every morning. "You need to leave," he said, voice low and authoritative. "This is a private event. You're trespassing." "Relax, Michael," I said. "I'm not staying. I just need to give something to Vanessa." I held up the manila folder, the one I'd spent 3 months preparing, the one containing every piece of evidence that would destroy her carefully constructed life. Vanessa stared at it like it might explode. "I don't want anything from you," she said. "Trust me," I said. "You'll want this." I handed the folder through the gate bars. Vanessa took it reflexively, still staring at me with that mixture of anger and confusion. "What is this?" she demanded. "The truth," I said simply. "Something you've been hiding for 25 years. Read it, then explain it to Lily before she walks down the aisle. She deserves to know who her real father is." Vanessa's face went pale. Michael grabbed her arm. "What's he talking about?" Michael asked. I didn't answer, just turned and walked away, back toward my truck parked 3 blocks over. Behind me, I heard Vanessa say something in a panicked voice, heard Michael demand to know what was going on, heard the security guards asking if they should stop me, but I was already gone. I didn't go far, just to the coffee shop across the street from Riverside Estate, a small independent place called the Daily Grind, with outdoor seating that had a clear view of the venue entrance. Tom met me there 5 minutes later, carrying his own coffee and a newspaper he pretended to read. "You really gave it to her?" he asked quietly, not looking at me. "Yep." "And now?" "Now we wait." We didn't have to wait long. 12 minutes later, I saw Vanessa storm out of the main building, the folder clutched in her hand like a weapon. Michael followed close behind, gesturing angrily. Even from across the street, I could see his face was red. They stopped near a fountain in the garden, clearly arguing. Vanessa was shaking her head rapidly, pointing at the folder, her mouth moving fast. Michael grabbed the folder from her, opened it, started reading. His body language changed in seconds. The aggressive posture melted into confusion, then shock, then something darker. He flipped through pages, reading faster, his expression getting worse with each document. "Here we go," Tom muttered into his coffee cup. Michael started yelling. I couldn't hear the words from across the street, but his body language was clear. Betrayal, rage, humiliation. He threw the folder at Vanessa. Papers scattered across the garden path, white sheets floating like leaves. Some landed in the fountain. Vanessa tried to gather them up, tried to talk to Michael, but he was already walking away, pulling out his phone, probably calling his lawyers. Vanessa stood there alone, surrounded by scattered documents that detailed every lie she'd told, every payment she'd received, every manipulation she'd orchestrated for 25 years. For the first time since I'd known her, she looked lost. "How long until this gets inside to the guests?" Tom asked. "My guess? 10 minutes. Someone's going to find those papers, or Vanessa's going to panic and tell someone, or Michael's going to start making calls." We ordered more coffee and waited. 15 minutes later, chaos erupted. Guests started coming out of the venue, confused, whispering to each other in tight clusters. Some were holding their phones, clearly looking at messages or calls. Others looked around like they were trying to figure out what was happening. Then I saw Lily's bridesmaids emerge from the building, still in their matching lavender dresses, their faces shocked and concerned. They gathered near the fountain where Vanessa was still trying to collect papers. One of them, a tall blonde I recognized from social media as Lily's best friend Jessica, started arguing with Vanessa. Her voice carried across the street, shrill and accusing. "How could you not tell her? How could you let her believe—" Vanessa cut her off, but I couldn't hear the words. More people came outside. The wedding coordinator looking panicked. The photographer, camera hanging uselessly around his neck. Groomsmen in their matching gray suits huddled together near the entrance. Then I saw Lily. She was still in her wedding dress, a gorgeous white gown with lace sleeves and a long train, the kind of dress every girl dreams about. But her face was destroyed. Makeup running, eyes red and swollen, her mouth open in what looked like a scream or a sob. She stormed across the garden toward Vanessa, her dress trailing behind her like a cape. "Is it true?" Lily's voice carried all the way across the street. "Tell me it's not true." Vanessa reached for her. "Lily, sweetheart, let me explain." "Don't touch me." Lily shoved her away. "How could you lie to me? How could you do this?" A crowd was forming. Guests abandoning their champagne and appetizers to watch the drama unfold. Some were recording on their phones, because of course they were, because nothing is real anymore unless it's captured and shared online. "I was protecting you," Vanessa said, her voice desperate. "I didn't want you to be hurt." "Protecting me? You let me believe he abandoned us. You made me hate him for 25 years. Lily was screaming now, full volume, not caring who heard. "You told me my father didn't want me, that he chose work over family, that he was dangerous. It was all lies." "It's not that simple," Vanessa tried. "You don't understand." "Then explain it," Lily demanded. "Explain how you slept with your boss while married. Explain how you got pregnant and lied about who the father was. Explain how you took money to keep quiet. Explain any of it." Vanessa opened her mouth, but nothing came out. What could she say? There was no explanation that would make this better, no words that would undo 25 years of lies. That's when I saw Alan Porter. He must have been inside the whole time, waiting among the guests like I'd instructed. He looked exactly like his photos, graying hair, expensive suit, the kind of face that belongs in corporate boardrooms and country clubs. He walked toward Lily slowly, hands raised like he was approaching a frightened animal. "Lily," he said quietly, "I'm so sorry. I should have told you years ago. I was a coward." Lily spun toward him, eyes wide. "Who are you?" "My name is Alan Porter," he said, "and I'm your biological father." The crowd went silent. Even from across the street, I could feel the collective shock, the moment when everyone realized this wasn't just drama. This was a complete detonation of everything they thought they knew. Lily stared at him like he was speaking a foreign language. "What?" "Your mother and I had an affair 25 years ago," Alan continued, his voice steady despite the trembling in his hands. "When she got pregnant, we both knew there was a chance you were mine. I was married at the time. I was her supervisor. It would have destroyed both our careers, both our families. So we made an arrangement. I paid her to keep quiet. I paid child support secretly for 3 years, then a lump sum to end it. Then I moved away and tried to forget. You paid her." Lily's voice was flat, emotionless. Like I was some kind of problem to be solved. "I was wrong," Alan said. "I've regretted it every day for 25 years. When Ethan contacted me and told me you were getting married, I knew I couldn't hide anymore. You deserve the truth." Lily looked between Alan and Vanessa, her face cycling through emotions too fast to track. Betrayal, anger, confusion, grief. "Where is he?" she asked suddenly. "Where's Ethan?" Vanessa pointed vaguely toward the gate. "He left. He dropped this bomb and left." "Good." Michael's voice cut through the scene. He'd come back, flanked by 2 men in suits who were clearly lawyers. "Because when I'm done with him, he's going to wish he'd never—" "Shut up, Michael," Lily said without even looking at him. "Just shut up." Michael looked stunned. Probably the first time anyone had told him to be quiet in a decade. Lily turned back to Vanessa. "Did you ever love him? Ethan? Was any of it real?" Vanessa's face crumpled. "Of course I loved him, but Alan was exciting, successful, and I was young and stupid, and I made a terrible mistake." "A mistake?" Lily's voice went up an octave. "A mistake is forgetting someone's birthday. This is my entire life. Everything I believed about myself, about my family, about who I am, it was all built on lies." She pulled off her engagement ring, a massive diamond that probably cost more than my truck, and threw it at Michael. "Wedding's off," she said. Then she turned and walked back toward the building, her bridesmaids rushing after her, her dress trailing through the scattered papers and fountain water. The crowd stood frozen, watching this family implode in real time. Michael picked up the ring, stared at it, then looked at Vanessa with pure hatred. "My lawyers will be in contact," he said coldly. "I want you out of my house by tonight. Our prenuptial agreement is very clear about fraud and misrepresentation." He walked away without waiting for a response. Vanessa stood alone in the garden, surrounded by wedding guests who wouldn't meet her eyes, photographers who'd captured every moment, and papers that detailed every lie she'd ever told. Alan Porter tried to approach her, maybe to apologize or explain, but she held up a hand to stop him. "Don't," she said. "Just don't." She gathered what papers she could carry and walked back inside, her cream dress stained with fountain water, her perfect hair coming loose, her life in ruins. Tom and I sat in the coffee shop until 3 in the afternoon, watching the venue slowly empty out. Guests left in groups, talking excitedly, probably already texting their friends about the scandal they'd witnessed. The catering staff packed up food that would never be eaten. The band loaded their equipment without ever having played a note. The photographer drove away with a memory card full of images from a wedding that never happened. "That was brutal," Tom said finally, stirring his fourth coffee of the day. Yes. Feel good about it? I thought about that question. Did I feel good? Not exactly. There was satisfaction in watching Vanessa's lies finally catch up with her, in seeing Michael Reed's arrogance deflate, in knowing that Lily finally understood the truth. But there was also a hollow feeling in my chest, an awareness that I'd just destroyed a young woman's wedding day, that I'd shattered her understanding of her own identity, that I'd caused pain even though it was pain that needed to happen. I feel like I can breathe again, I said. For the first time in 25 years, I'm not carrying someone else's lies. I'm not the villain in a story someone else wrote. What about Lily? Think she'll reach out? I don't know. Maybe. Maybe she needs time to process everything. Maybe she hates me even more now for doing it this way. You gave her the truth. Yeah. But the truth doesn't undo 25 years of manipulation. It doesn't give her back the father-daughter relationship we should have had. It just is. Tom nodded, staring out at the empty venue. You know Vanessa's going to come after you, right? Legally, I mean. She'll claim emotional distress, defamation, anything her lawyers can think of. Let her try. Every word in that folder is documented, notarized, and true. You can't defame someone by telling the truth. Still, be prepared for a fight. I've been in a fight for 25 years, Tom. I'm ready for whatever comes next. 3 days passed in strange silence. I went to work, managed construction sites, lived normal life. It felt surreal after Saturday's detonation. Then, on Tuesday evening, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. I need to talk to you. Lily. I stared at the screen for a full minute before responding. I'm here whenever you're ready. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Tomorrow, the daily grind, noon. I'll be there, I wrote back. Wednesday at noon, I walked into the daily grind 15 minutes early, ordered coffee I knew I wouldn't drink, sat in the back booth. Lily arrived at 12:07. She looked younger without the wedding dress and makeup. Vulnerable. Jeans, sweatshirt, hair in a ponytail, sunglasses indoors. She slid into the booth and didn't speak for a long moment. Dolores came over. Coffee, sweetheart? Lily shook her head. I don't know what to call you, Lily said finally, not taking off the sunglasses. Ethan's fine. Not Dad? I haven't earned that. She removed the sunglasses. Her eyes were red, swollen. Mom said you abandoned us when I was little. She said you chose work over family. I know what she said. Was it true? No. Then why didn't you fight for me? I tried, for years, but your mother convinced the courts I was unstable, possibly dangerous. She coached you to say you were afraid of me. By the time you were 8, the judge ruled that forcing visitation would be traumatic. After that, there was nothing I could legally do. So you gave up. I never gave up, Lily. I sent birthday cards every year. I paid child support. I kept hoping that someday you'd want to know the truth. You could have told me sooner, about Alan. You knew for 3 months. Would you have listened if I'd come to you quietly? Would you have believed me? Or would you have called your mother? Lily didn't answer. I needed proof, I continued. Not just for you, but for everyone. Vanessa spent 25 years making sure everyone thought I was the villain. You ruined my wedding. Your mother ruined your life, I said quietly. I just exposed it. She flinched. That's terrible. It's the truth. She lied to you for 25 years. She let you believe I abandoned you when really she pushed me out. She took money from Alan to keep his paternity secret. She built your life on lies. Lily's eyes filled with tears. I don't know what to do now. Michael's furious. Mom won't stop calling. And Alan keeps trying to meet, like we can just start over. You don't owe any of them anything, I said. Not your mother, not Michael, not Alan, not even me. You decide what happens next. What if I don't want any of you? Then that's your choice, and I'll respect it. She wiped her eyes. I'm so angry at her. She made me hate you my entire childhood. She told me you didn't want me. I spent years thinking there was something wrong with me, and it was all lies. I'm sorry you went through that. Are you sorry for how you did it? For making it so public? I'm sorry you were hurt, but I'm not sorry for making sure everyone knew the truth. She nodded slowly. Were you a good dad? Before she pushed you out? I tried to be. Would you want to be again? My throat tightened. More than anything. I can't promise anything. I'm still angry at everyone, but I want to try, slowly. Coffee once a week, just trying. I'll be here. She stood, grabbed her sunglasses. Same time next week? I'll be here. She paused. Thank you for telling me the truth even though it hurt. Then she left. Vanessa showed up at my apartment that evening. I looked through the peephole. She stood there in sweatpants, no makeup, looking 10 years older. I opened the door, but didn't invite her in. What do you want, Vanessa? Can I come in? Please? No. She flinched. You destroyed my life. Michael filed for annulment. His lawyers are taking everything. Good. How can you be so cruel? You let me believe Lily was mine while knowing the truth. You turned my daughter against me. You spent 25 years erasing me. And you call me cruel? I was protecting her. From what? From me? Or from your mistakes? Vanessa started crying. I was scared. Alan was married. I didn't know what to do. And you were safe. You loved me. I thought it would be easier. Easier for you. Yes. I was selfish. I made terrible choices. Are you satisfied now? I looked at her. No, I'm not satisfied. But I'm free. Everyone knows the truth now. Lily won't talk to me. She said she needs space. Good. She deserves that space. I'm her mother. You gave her everything except the truth, I interrupted. And now she's dealing with the consequences of your choices. Not mine. Yours. She stared at me with red eyes. I'm sorry. For all of it. Too late, I said simply. 25 years too late. I closed the door. A week later, Tom called with news. Michael Reed's lawyers officially dropped their threatened lawsuit, he said. They realized they had no case. Everything you provided was legally obtained and factually accurate. Good. Reed also finalized his annulment from Vanessa. She's out of his house and back to working a normal job. And Lily? You tell me. You're the one having coffee with her every week. I smiled. She's figuring things out, taking her time. That's good. You did the right thing, Ethan. Thanks, Tom. Tuesday became my favorite day of the week. Every week at noon, I met Lily at the daily grind. Sometimes we talked about heavy things, her anger at Vanessa, her confusion about Alan. Other times we talked about normal things, her job, my construction projects, terrible coffee. She wasn't calling me Dad. Maybe she never would. But she was showing up, week after week. That was enough. One Tuesday, about 6 weeks after the wedding incident, she arrived carrying a photo album. I found this at Mom's place, she said, sliding it across the table. I opened it carefully. Photos from 25 years ago. Me holding infant Lily in the hospital. Me giving her a bottle at 3 a.m. Her first birthday party. Cake smashed all over her face while I laughed in the background. You look happy, Lily said quietly. I was. Those were the best 2 years of my life. Why did she hide these? Because they didn't fit her narrative. Lily reached across the table and touched one of the photos. Can I keep this? Keep the whole album. It's yours. She held it against her chest. I'm starting to remember things, little flashes, a man's voice singing to me, big hands picking me up. I think I remember you. My throat tightened. Yeah? Just pieces. But they're good pieces. We sat in silence for a while, the album between us, 25 years of lost time contained in faded photographs. I told Mom I need at least 6 months before I'm ready to talk to her, Lily said finally. That's your choice. She keeps leaving voicemails saying she's sorry, but I don't know how to believe anything she says anymore. You don't have to figure that out today. Take whatever time you need. She nodded slowly. That sounds right. 3 months after the wedding, Lily asked if she could come over to my apartment. It was the first time she'd visited my space. She showed up at 7 p.m. carrying takeout. Figured we could eat something other than the daily grind's terrible sandwiches, she said. We ate at my small kitchen table, talking about her day at work. After dinner, she looked around the apartment, taking in the sparse decorations, the single photo I'd kept on my bookshelf, her at age 2, smiling on a swing. This is where you've been living all these years? She asked. Yep. Not much, but it's mine. You could have had more. You paid child support for 25 years. I did do something for myself. I made sure you were taken care of, even when I couldn't be there. She turned to me, eyes wet. I wish I'd known sooner. You know now. That's what matters. She wiped her eyes. Can I ask you something? Anything. Why did you wait until the wedding? Why not tell me right away? I'd known this question was coming. Because you wouldn't have believed me, I said honestly. If I'd come to you quietly, your mother would have convinced you I was lying. I needed witnesses. I needed the evidence to be undeniable. So you waited until the most public moment possible. I waited until your mother couldn't spin it into another story about how I was the villain. Lily sat down on my couch. It was cruel, though, the way you did it. Yes, I agreed. But your mother was cruel to you for 25 years. Sometimes cruelty is the only thing that cuts through years of carefully constructed lies. Do you regret it? I regret that you were hurt, but I don't regret making sure everyone knew the truth. She nodded slowly. I'm glad you told me, even though it hurt. I'm glad to know the truth. Me too. She stayed for another hour, and when she left, she hugged me for the first time since she was 2 years old. It wasn't much, but it was everything.